Stop stereotyping people. It's wrong. Hi there, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can tell from today's title, I will be doing my October wrap-up, meaning I will be wrapping up all the books that I have read this month. And sadly, I only got to read 4 books this month because it has been hectic. When I tell you, stress on another level, I'm telling you. Also, today's Halloween. Comment down below what you think I dressed up as. Also comment down what you dressed up as. Just to put it out there, I will be discussing these books at full length. I'm going to be talking about spoilers just to get my points across. I actually really delved into some of these books. I wrote down my notes on my iPad, so if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. It's really hard for me to give a book 5 stars because it has to be amazing, out of this world, stuck in my head for weeks. It has to be that good. So I'm jumping around and I'm only explaining parts that stood out to me that I wanted to discuss. If you don't like my opinion about something, that's fine. Let's discuss down below kindly, respectfully. These are my opinions. Let's have a civil conversation. So let's start with this October wrap-up. My first book was The Black Flamingo. I gave it 4.5 stars. Michael is a mixed gay teen who grew up in London trying to find out who he is. He is half Greek and half Jamaican. It was written like a poem. The book follows Michael from 6 years old all the way throughout to college. Man, things go down in that time period. Michael is finding out who he is. He's exploring a lot of things. Some things I was like, yes, and some things I was like, oh no, Michael, no. It starts out with Michael's 6th birthday. He wanted a Barbie doll. He told his mom like 2 months before, he's like, hey, I really want a Barbie doll. On his birthday, he found out he got a Ninja Turtle. He's like about to cry, and his mom's like, I didn't think you were serious. So she does give it to him. Immediately, I was like, okay, good. His mom is accepting, which is great. Until he tries to go to a family event with his Barbie doll, and his mom's like, leave the Barbie at home. And I was like, oh. Okay. Later, we find out Michael doesn't have a father figure in his life. He was in touch with his father's family. His mom later gets with another man. Now Michael has a sister, his half-sister. There's this certain part in the book where Michael says, she's my half-sister, and his mom's like, listen here. So his mom says, don't let anyone tell you that you are half black and half white, half Cypriot and half Jamaican. You are a full human being. It's never as simple as being half and half. And I really appreciate that. I'm not half anything, okay? I am black and that's it. The fact that his mom told him that really hits home. Don't just be saying, I'm half this and half that. You are you, you are a human. Don't let people cut you in half like your paper. So Michael grows up and he's exploring his sexuality. But this got to me. On the playground, they play Kiss Chase. I've never played it before. Children's game similar to tag, the object being for the person who is it to catch and kiss another of the participants, who then subsequently becomes it. Again, never played it before, but what surprised me about this game is his friend at the time is Emily, and he catches her and she's like, wait, time out. Michael can't kiss me because I'm his best friend. Best friends don't kiss. And Michael's not angry about that. And he's like, yeah, I didn't mind not kissing Emily because I got to kiss Caleb and Trevor and Jack and all the other boys. And I was like, oh. I don't know why. It really got to me. I was like, okay, cool. So Michael gets older. There's this scene where him and another choir boy are walking by together from these other big kids, and the kids are saying to him, listen, if you two don't fight each other, I'm gonna beat the both of you. And Michael's like, what? Michael gets scared. He's like, oh my god, fight or flight. And this fight or flight is reiterated multiple times in the book. He goes and fights the other choir kid. Michael then goes home and tells his mom, because his mom's like, so you just fought the kid because another person said to fight him? You don't do that. You don't just do something because someone said to. So then he moves schools. There he meets Daisy Andrews. She is his best friend in the beginning of the book. He really finds peace with her, basically. Except there's one time they disagree. This part stood out to me because Daisy and Michael got into an argument when Daisy and him go to a gay club. Daisy says, oh, keep the girls away from me. I don't want them near me. I don't want any like lesbians near me. And Michael's like, what? Why are you talking like that? Why are you saying that? You can't be friends with me and say stuff like that. And she's like, what? I'm just saying I'm not a lesbian or whatever. And then later in the book, we find out that that was her self-homophobia. This book had a huge impact on me because I'm not part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I am an ally. Okay, I really appreciate the LGBTQ community because they are strong. They deserve more than what they are getting. Why do people care about someone else's sexual orientation? That's none of your business.
You're in my business? Yeah, don't do that.
This book had a soft spot in my heart. This topic is a soft spot in my heart. When we found out that Daisy has this homophobia because of the media and how bad it is and how much struggle they go through, it really was like, wow, that's terrible. You know what I'm saying? That's terrible. She admits that to Michael later on about the club, and she's like, please forgive me. Can we still be friends? Next is Michael in this new private school. He has a crush on this white guy. He works up the confidence to go and ask him out. And even though he said it out loud to the guy, he wrote it down on a paper. And the guy ends up, Rowan is his name. Rowan ends up rejecting Michael. And the secondhand embarrassment, I felt that. Rowan rejects Michael. Michael like distraught. He leaves the paper, runs away, and he's crying to himself. And this is when we meet Kieran. Kieran is the boy Michael sees on the soccer field. And Michael's like, oh well, he's pretty cute, but there's no way he's gay. There's no way he likes boys. Kieran is the one who comes up to Michael and says, hey, it's okay, I heard what you did. That was pretty strong and pretty bold of you to do that. And then he says, why are you asking out the whitest kid in school? How come you don't give a brother a chance? I was like, wait, Michael, he's talking about you. Why don't you give him a chance? And Michael's like, ha, you're funny. And I'm like, no. I caught that and I was really upset and flabbergasted that Michael didn't. So Michael grows up and Michael's trying everything. He tries weed, drinking, and not my cup of tea. That's not my thing. I don't do that stuff. He was doing that and I kind of like turned a blind eye. Your body, your choice. His uncle drives him to college and the quote his uncle says really got to me. They get stopped by a police officer. And there was no reason why they got stopped by the police. And his uncle says, they interrupt our joy, our history, our progress. They know they can't stop us unless they kill us, but they can't kill us all. So you're living your life and suddenly interrupted by white fear or suspicion. They fear sharing anything. Our success is a threat. Wow. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all white people are bad and all cops are bad. Look at the patterns. Look at the history. You can't deny what's there. When you do deny what's there, you're lying to yourself and you're lying about what's really going on. His uncle saying that really got to me. It's like no matter how educated you are, how rich you are, how this and that you are. If you are black, if you're LGBTQ plus community, a person of color, if you are a minority, you're in for it. You just gotta know that and you have to know how to handle it because it's life or death sometimes. Michael's in college now and he sees a lot of people there, but the problem is the white people there have locks. His locks feel wrong. Campus is full of white guys with locks. There's something about it that doesn't feel right. There's something about it that makes my locks not feel right either, even though I'm not white. I was like, okay, cultural appropriation at its finest. He noticed that they didn't put much care into it. He talks about how their locks weren't clean, how dirty it was, and he's like, I twist mine every day. I put oil in mine every day. Cultural appropriation. Yeah. The hair comes back again when he and Lenny is a guy who he meets in college. When he and Lenny are walking from a party, I believe, two drunk white guys come up to them and one of them says, hey, you have any weed to sell? Okay, why are you asking them that? In his head, Michael's like, yeah, are you asking us that because you heard what Lenny and I were talking about because they were talking about weed, or because you saw two black guys with locks and you just assumed? Which one is it? They're like, no, we don't have any weed on us. And the guy's like, yes, I know you do. I can smell it on you. And I was like, stop. That event really messes up Michael, and he goes and he cuts off his locks. The Black Flamingo had lots of issues, racial tensions, discriminations. What I discussed is just the tip of the iceberg of what happens in this book. You should definitely read it. I feel like my little supposed to be mini review was longer than it should have been. Definitely a good book that really discusses being mixed. It was interesting to read from a different point of view from someone who has a completely different life than mine. I really had a soft spot for Michael, and I think you should go and read it too. My next book is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Hopefully you can see it. Dear Martin hooked me from the beginning of the book. Justice gets arrested when he tries to help his ex-girlfriend Milo. It's like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock a.m. and she's drunk and he tries to help her. And he didn't realize, but there was a police officer watching him this whole time. The police officer comes up to him and tries to arrest him because it looked like he was trying to take her car. Instead, Justice was trying to make sure she doesn't drive because she's drunk. The officer, of course, doesn't stand to listen to what Justice has to say. He doesn't wait for him to explain. He's just like, I know the kind of person you are. I know the kind of guys you are with your hood on and everything. You're trying to take advantage of this girl. Ever since that happens, Justice's world gets rocked. After Justice gets arrested, he goes and writes letters to Martin Luther King Jr. asking him for advice. He's like, this just happened to me. How do I handle this? How did you handle what happened to you? How do you handle someone calling you the N-word and stuff? So he seeks out advice from Martin Luther King. Justice is a good kid. He has integrity. He tries to do the right thing. He's part of the debate club. He's an honor student, and he's always there to help someone if they need it. So when this happens to him, when he gets arrested for trying to help someone, he's like, what? I don't think I look threatening. I was just trying to help her. The officer knows nothing about me. And he gets bruises on his wrist after what happens. He's just like, what in the world? So he's like, if I don't look threatening, if I make myself out to be a good kid, stuff like this, stuff that happens to black men won't happen to me. So he's living under this bubble until, of course, this bubble gets popped. After this altercation, Justice starts to see things differently. He starts to be more aware of the racial tensions that happens, especially at his school, where there are privileged white kids. And one of these white kids is Jared. What I noticed from this book that was a theme, some people are racist and they don't realize it, and some people are racist and they realize it, but they don't care because they are benefiting from it. Jared is one of Justice's friend's friend. Manny is Justice's best friend, but Manny fits in with the white kids, and Justice admits to the reader, he's like, yeah, okay, I know he's friends with them, but like I'm not that cool with them. So Manny's friend Jared is a privileged kid who doesn't see how fortunate he is, and he thinks that POCs have it way easier than he does. And I'm like, sir, you are a white male teenager. Do you know how good you have it? Okay? I did not like Jared's character in the beginning of the book. So Jared is really racist. The biggest parts of Jared being racist is when they talk about affirmative action. He says affirmative action gives an advantage to getting into college. Sarah Jane is Justice's debate partner, and she's incredibly smart, and I love her character. So she shuts down Jared with this affirmative action quote, and I was like, yes, Sarah Jane, eat him up. She says that affirmative action is good because it helps them, and Jared is saying it's an advantage, and she's like, well, they need the advantage because Jared doesn't realize that he has laptops and tablets and access to scholarly databases. He has practice SATs. He has all these resources to help him get into college when there are other students who don't have that. Sarah Jane said they get severe test anxiety and they have low self-esteem because they're not prepared for the SATs like Jared is. And he takes all of that, throws it away and says, whatever. All I know is that no matter what college I end up at, when I see a minority, I'm gonna wonder if they're qualified to be there. You really said that? You're really gonna judge someone whether they should be there or not because of affirmative action? This kid got on my nerves. There was one time him, Jared, and his posse, like Blake and all the other white boys, and Manny and Justice go to a Halloween party, and one of his friends, Blake, I think, dressed up as a Klansman. And I was like, Okay. I already talked about Sarah Jane, and I liked how the relationship between her and Justice was like slow building. And you know, I like how she has self-respect, because the whole time Justice acts like he likes her, but then he also acts like he likes Milo, his ex-girlfriend, who he can't seem to get past. He doesn't understand that Sarah Jane is the bomb. Sis is smart. She plays lacrosse. I was like, yes, lacrosse girls are it. Maybe because I play lacrosse, I might be biased, but still. He takes a while to admit his feelings to her. She has to say to him, do you like me? If you don't, like, forget this. See, that's the thing about Justice. He barely had any bite to him, and he always asked somebody else for advice. It was like someone had to like push him a little bit, and that came with her having to push him and say to him, hey, do you like me, or like what's the deal here? And then Manny, Justice's best friend. I don't know, I'm a little bit iffy about Manny. In the beginning, he's like one of those people that gives Justice advice. He's there for him, but he was a little bit under the rock too. Yeah, he's friends with Blake and Jared and all the other white kids, and he doesn't see how racist they are. His friends be saying some rude stuff, and he just like laughs it off or lets it go. So stuff goes down, and Manny is starting to see that his white friends are racist, and it takes a few events for him to understand that. Justice just like, I told you so, man. Like, I've been trying to show you. Manny's like, yeah, I woke up, I'm understanding. There's a fight that happens between him and somebody else for him to like really notice this. But the thing that made me really upset about Manny is when he and Justice are playing on the Xbox or something, he says to Justice, I'm scared of black girls, man. Huh? Black girls. I've never really encountered a non-family one. Okay. There are none in our grade. The only ones I know are my cousins, and they're a lot. A lot? Like real attitude-y and kinda ghetto. Looks like this is a black boy talking about black girls. His description is that they're ghetto and attitude-y. I was just like, wow. Oh my god! Wow. Really? That's what you think of us? I mean, like, I know he was just talking about, Manny says, I know that's a stereotype or whatever, but I've literally never experienced anything else. I understand, okay? He goes to a school with mostly white people, and that's what he sees. And what he does see are black girls are like, but that's wrong. You don't clump people together. And when I read that section, it broke my heart, because you haven't went out and seen different kinds of people. That's what you think. Kind of like internalized racism. He's believing the stereotypes of what was put on black girls. So now, like, in the back of my mind, when I know I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about, I have to think, wait a minute, am I being too angry about this? I don't want to be labeled the angry black girl. If I am really in the heat of the moment, I don't want someone to be like, oh, lose the attitude. This is the problem. Stop stereotyping people. It's wrong. Ugh. It's a hard issue. Yes, you should read this book also. And just like the Black Flamingo, it talks about how if you are black, a POC, a minority, you will get it. How you have faced racism, you will face racism. And Justice, he was confused about what to do with it though. He's receiving this racism and he's seeing it now, and he realizes like, wow, this is the world.
So it's me from the future. I am editing this video and it is over an hour long. So I decided to split the video into 2 videos. So the next one will be up next week. If you have made it this far, first of all, thank you and congratulations. You're my new favorite person. Hit that notification bell to be notified when it will be up. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go ahead and do that. I've had so much fun talking about these books. While you're at it, go ahead and follow my Facebook and Instagram. Participate in polls and giveaways and lots of bookstagram stuff. That's the end of this video. Hopefully you will be back to see the next one. Bye-bye.